So you really had the first reaction to whatever the heck it was that we watched on All-Star Weekend. One, just would love to know what you and No talked a little bit about, and then two, I don't know if you took any phone calls, if you got any tweets, if there was any reaction to it, but it was one of those where I think let me put it this way. There aren't very many sports topics where you don't see anybody put up a fight on the where you don't see, there's not very many sports topics where somebody isn't willing to take the other side on whatever the popular side is, right? So Luka Doncic gets traded, everyone's like, that's crazy. But you saw the people in the media that were like, oh, actually, I can see it from the Mavs perspective. I bring it up because I don't know of anyone, and I didn't get to all the takes, but I did not see anybody putting up the argument that the All-Star Weekend was a big success and that the four different teams, including the Rising Stars, made it a better event. But I would be curious what you and No talked about. I think it was No, but what you and your partner talked about on Monday morning after what, again, I haven't seen anybody make the argument that, oh, that was actually an awesome event. More of that, please. So I'd be curious what you guys discussed.
Just that, I mean, you can continue to try and put lipstick on this pig all you want, but we still know what it is and we know what it's not. Until look, this was one of the biggest points of all of it. I think this was this is the lowest hanging fruit, but he gave it to us. LeBron sitting out. LeBron not even putting on the uniform and sitting on the sidelines saying, I'm gonna rest my ankle or whatever like that. Considering that LeBron knows the state of the NBA business right now and understands he understands, I think, better than most, or maybe better than anybody active in the league, what the challenges are for this league going forward. And he understands the responsibility that's been on his shoulders for a long time carrying this league. He had 20 years where he was in the All-Star game and he had the streak and all this. And he's just, no, I'm just going to sit out. Not even going to show up. I'm going to sit out. Like, think about that. Think about it, at this point where basketball finds itself, LeBron James couldn't even be bothered to show up. And I think Cavino and Rich, when they were in for, maybe it was for Dan Patrick this week, I think they even said that ruined the team picture, I think is what they said, because he wasn't there to take the photo with the other Western All-Stars and just show up and act like he cared. And I think that was a microcosm of it. And you heard some of the stuff that they were saying after the game and what was sort of the argument that was being made. And this is what Noah and I talked about. They said, we'd like to have more money.
Oh, God.
Considering, again, the tone deafness of this, we understand that you can't compare athlete salaries and athlete lifestyles and stuff like that to anything else. We can't just look at it from that perspective. But try to make that argument to the person who's trying to feed their family and can come see you once a year, and you can't be bothered to play in this All-Star game because they're not paying you enough money, or you can't be to compete, to play hard, to play like you actually care. They're saying, maybe pay us a little bit more money. I mean, how much of a middle finger are you giving to your audience, to your commissioner, to the future of your league by making it all about that in that case? If that's the case, then 86 this thing and get rid of it, because there's nothing that's going to fix it. I know the arguments are out there. But this was just another indicator of the NBA players. I said this last Saturday to you. I can't care more about your league than you do, guys.
Well, and
I just can't.
Let me jump in. We'll get to the PK Subban sound in a second, guys. You can keep it loaded up. But I think, first of all, I'm over talking about the All-Star game because the All-Star game is a metaphor for the bigger picture of what's going on with the league. You can't fix the All-Star game until you fix the NBA as a whole. You're not going to get guys to care about an exhibition when they don't care about the regular season. But I bring it up because what you just said, that guys could not be bothered. This was, to me, the most jarring thing that I saw all week, and I think it actually got a little bit underreported. And by the way, the PK Subban sound was awesome. We'll get to it, all that. But earlier this week, Kevin Durant was doing one of his typical Twitter things, blah, 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 blah. And, I get it. I understand that, he's a little bit more active on social media, all that. But at the same time, I do think it is worth noting what he tweeted out, because this to me is such a microcosm for everything that is wrong with the NBA. And again, I think it was a little bit underrated and undervalued in terms of whether it became a discussion or not. And so Kevin Durant initially tweeted out, I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to actually watch it. Crazy. Cancel All-Star Weekend and let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time. That I don't really understand. I don't know if it was sarcasm on the back part, but I do think there's something to, I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to watch it, okay? But then somebody got in his mentions and started not even going back and forth with him, asking about, what would you do? And listen to what he said, J. Mart. And I feel like this got brushed under the rug. He said this is a tweet from Kevin Durant, his official Twitter account. He tweeted at a fan. He said, for the betterment of your mental health and just overall well-being, just don't watch the NBA. Hockey is right there, and they play with that aggression that you may like. They also rarely get traded or go to new teams in free agency, so the loyalty aspect is there. Hope that helps. J. Mart, literally, besides the fact that Kevin Durant said don't watch the NBA, which is the most preposterous thing that any person that is in any business could ever say, hey, don't consume my product. What is mind-boggling to me, he literally said this sport has the two things that you might like. Aggression. What do we care about? We care about you trying. We care about, and again, it will get to the PK Subban sound. I'm sorry I keep teasing it, but what was PK Subban's point? They play hard. NHL players play hard. So that's one. Hockey is right there, and they play with the aggression you like, and they also rarely get traded or go to new teams in free agency. Yeah, that's the other part, Kevin Durant. When dudes refuse to show up to do their jobs and demand trades every offseason, every hour, think about the NBA right now. James Harden has demanded a trade 3 different times in his career. Jimmy Butler, at least twice that I'm aware of. Timberwolves, and then, this past time with the Miami Heat. Kevin Durant has demanded. These are your league's problems, and you don't realize by tweeting, go watch hockey, it's like, yes, these are the problems that need to get fixed, and you're brushing them off as if they should be no big deal. No, they're huge deals, and it is why every single element of the NBA is failing right now. It's not just All-Star Weekend. It's the regular season. Postseason numbers are largely down. Interest is down all of the time. When literally every other sport in America, NFL, college football, women's college basketball, World Series ratings were great. Every other rating is up except for the NBA. And Kevin Durant just basically gave the blueprint on why people don't watch, and he didn't have the self-awareness to be like, oh, this is why people don't like my sport. I know I'm rambling, but it just drives me freaking crazy.
Well, listen, I think that's what's more amazing about that quote is that what he is saying is 1,000% true, and he doesn't realize the problem with that.
Bingo.
What he is saying is, you want us to care, you want us to try hard, you want us to dial in and be aggressive and want to win and all this kind of stuff, and you want a team that you can actually get behind because the guys are going to stick around for a while and honor contracts and all this other kind of stuff. He's like, that's them over there, that ain't us. He's not saying, yeah, you're right, we need to work on those things, or, yeah, you know what, there's some things in this league that I'm hoping we can turn the corner on a little bit.
He's actively saying we're not going to work on that stuff.
Yes, that's the point. It's not that he's even brushing them off. It's that he's saying, guess what? Basically, tough luck. Like, deal with it. This is what the NBA is. It's like, for the betterment of your mental health, why don't you go watch a sport where they care? Because we're not changing what we're doing. That's what it is. That's insane. That is utterly incredible. Like, that is detrimental. You can quiet down and pipe down with all the inside the NBA guys being so negative is why the league. No, dumb, naive, selfish, entitled, tone-deaf nonsense like what you just read from Kevin Durant, one of the standard bearers of this league for the last 15 years. For him to say, yeah, why don't you go watch hockey? I mean, they care. They don't get traded all the time. They play hard. They're aggressive, all that. And in my head, I'm just like, man, gosh, I'm so close to taking you up on that offer. Like, I said this to No on Monday when we were in. I said, I lament hockey because I used to love it so much. I used to care about it, watch it every single night. I've been a diehard Penguins fan my whole life. Now I just don't do it, and I really don't know why. It's not like the game is unwatchable or anything else. I mean, Bettman's been a bad commissioner, and them losing the TV deals through the years made it difficult and all this other kind of stuff. But what Durant said is right, and we should reward the league that actually cares. We should reward the league where the guys are putting it on the line, understanding that they are an entertainment product and they're going out there because they want to win, because they want to compete. They're not all best friends. They're not all trying to form super teams and all this other kind of stuff. The entitlement in the NBA is completely out of control, and it has grown exponentially because of the feckless non-leadership in the front office of the National Basketball Association.
Well, I'll tell you what, you said we should reward the NHL or hockey. We did this week. 9.3 million viewers for USA-Canada, the championship game Thursday night of the Four Nations face-off. And the NBA All-Star Weekend ratings were down yet again. The NBA All-Star Weekend, how about this? The NBA All-Star Weekend did about half of the rating of the Four Nation final of an event that literally did not exist a month ago. Never been played, nothing. And I think that's a metaphor. I think it's a metaphor for us as consumers of sports. I just think we want to go out and see, just know that the guys or girls that are competing are leaving it all on the field or the court or the ice or whatever. It's like, is women's basketball the highest level of basketball? It isn't. That's no disrespect. It's just the truth. But you don't doubt how hard those girls play. And by the way, in the WNBA, you don't doubt how much they freaking hate each other right now. And it's like, but that's kind of compelling. Men's college basketball. Listen, I love college basketball. I understand the quality of play is not that of the NBA, but March Madness ratings blow most of the NBA playoff ratings out of the water, and the championship game routinely outrates the NBA Finals. And it's because you can criticize the quality of play in college basketball. You can't criticize how much those dudes care on the court. And to bring it full circle to this week, you could tell, I didn't know anything about the Four Nations face-off. I mean, I remember we were talking about, DeSager was giving us updates last week. I didn't know what this event was, but you got compelled because you saw how much it mattered to the players on the ice. And this remains the NBA's biggest problem. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but it is just so infuriating.
Only that, I was watching some of the college this afternoon. I watched Tennessee and Texas A&M. I watched some of Kentucky and Alabama. I watched some of Auburn and Georgia, Houston and Iowa State. I was watching some of these games, and I think your point is well taken. I think it is something that you could throw several exclamation points after. Some of that basketball, there was a point in the Tennessee A&M game in the second half where nobody was shooting over 25%. It was a rock fight out there.
Tough watch.
But they were going for it, man. At the very least, the effort was obvious. It was apparent. You didn't have to look through binoculars to see it. And that's just not the way it is in the NBA. I watched Lakers Nuggets tonight, and I tried to care, and the commentary didn't help me. But
it's because J.J. Redick's not in the booth anymore. He's on the sidelines. That's obviously it.
Yeah, no, it's really not it. And I was just watching three balls, some defense here and there, but almost no stops being made on either side of the floor. There was a lack of intensity in it. There was high-level basketball being played, and a lot of shots were being made, and there were a lot of stars out there. I just found myself less invested in it. I was multitasking while it was on. When I was watching some of this college earlier, I was actually kind of dialed into it. Even though, ultimately these games aren't going to matter that much. Most of those teams are certainly going to be playing in March, and they're all going to have good seeds and all this. But if they care, that's going to draw me in, and it's going to make me care. And eventually the NBA is going to have to figure this out, because at some point your ratings can't drop any lower. And DeSager gives this to us every week. I can't wait to hear him during the segment kind of lay out some of his rating stuff, because I anticipate that's where he will go. And it was just a terrible showing all the way around. It's like, what'd you think of the All-Star break? Well, I didn't even know they came back, because they were so lackadaisical last weekend, couldn't even be bothered to care. So I couldn't be bothered to care when they came back and started playing basketball again. that was relentlessly frustrating. And I saw some column or article that was just like, why is Mac McClung not in the NBA? It's like, because he's not good enough. Yeah. Which is why if you're an NBA player, you should be embarrassed that he keeps showing up and winning dunk contests. Like, that's your league. Have you no pride, sir, in your own league? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway watching on Sunday night is, like, if you're a player, like, how can you not be embarrassed that this event has gotten to this level? But apparently nobody cares.